The word Advent comes from the Latin adventus, meaning arrival, right? Coming, the coming. And I think, it's that preparation for the coming of Christ. But the fact is, in a sense, what do we mean by that, right? And I do think there's two things. One, in a sense, I think I asked the question, I'm giving a retreat in a few weeks, and the question, if God has already come to us, what are we waiting for? In the sense, if God has already become incarnate in Jesus, what are we waiting for? And I think that's a really interesting question, I don't think we really have a good sense of what Advent's about. I think that Advent, that waiting, that arrival, or what's coming to us from the future, I think we can say that's God coming to us from the future in a sense that, we're called to awaken to what's already in our midst. So it's that, I think Advent is a coming to a new consciousness of God, already loving us into something new, into something more whole. That we're not, in a sense, waiting for what's not there. We're, in a sense, to be attending to what's already there. But the other part, I think, we can think of Advent is God is waiting for us to wake up, as if we're asleep in the manger, not Jesus. Jesus is, alive in our midst. And sometimes I do think we have things a little bit backwards. I think Jesus is in the manger and we've got to wake him up, and now, we have to do good things to one another. But what if we're in the manger and God is already awakened in our midst, and we're so fallen asleep, we're so kind of unconsciously asleep, that God is sort of looking for, will someone, get up and help, bring the gifts, into the world, so to speak. So I would say Christmas is a very interesting time, Advent into Christmas. It's kind of sad that TV is already commercialized, Christmas. We're going to have it ad infinitum now, from now until December 25th. All about buying, purchasing power, But there's something about deep relationality here, right? We love Christmas. We love the deep community and relationships that gift-giving, means to us. So there's something that's deeply embedded in us that even we're more attentive to, that there's poor people or that there's homeless people. And so, for all different reasons, we're going to give money, we're going to give, our time, we're going to give stuff, to help this. And there's something that says, well, okay, this is just an inkling that we have the capacity to awaken to a new sense of love in each of us, and connect us in a new way. So I do think, though, we have to awaken to the fact that what we already are looking for is already arrived. It's already here. And I think we need to get out of our unconscious state and get into a new level of awareness and attentiveness. And I also think that Advent points us to a God of the future, right? A God who will always be more than anything we are. So as we awaken to a new being in Christ, then we are to become something more in that being in Christ. And so Advent is kind of the sign that says onward, the coming to means a moving toward. That, okay, great, we've awakened to, now we get up from where we are and move toward. We can't stay where we are, right? And so that moving toward is what Christmas is about, right? That birthing of Jesus then now is, we are the Christ. Hey, this is the good news, right? Let's awaken to what God is doing in us and what God is seeking to become in us. So I think the gift giving is great. We all love new sweaters and new slippers, but there's something much deeper here that we have to wake up to from our deep slumber, our almost comatose state that we find ourselves in, thanks to the consumer and advertising business, that keeps us nice and lulled in the dark. I mean, here, I think of Carl Jung's whole notion of the individuation of God, that God really is seeking to move from the unconscious, the collective unconscious, into consciousness. That God is seeking to become God in us, which is a way of looking at, you might say, even the incarnation itself. Jesus, in a sense, awakens the human consciousness now to something that's alive in our midst, a new way of being in our midst that now is expressive of divine reality of love. So,
yeah, didn't you even say God couldn't come to the world without us?
Right? How could God, really? What would that mean? God can't. What does God mean?
I just agree.
What does God mean apart from materiality? How could we couldn't even utter the word God apart from being physical beings and certainly physical self-thinking beings. So it's a great, great mystery, and I think one thing Advent should do is slow us down to awaken us to a deep mystery that we're immersed in, and not to kind of smooth over the mystery or want to reduce the mystery or just say science will tell us everything about this mystery, because it won't. It never will. Science is great. It will never, never get to the core of the truth of what we are.